Yeah, because when you look at Chapter 6 of the Constitution, as it were, many say that the chapter has been wrecked by Parliament through different legislations that have come through. Would you reckon rather that has weakened Chapter 6 of the Constitution as had been envisioned by the drafters of the Constitution at the time?
Yes, Chapter 6 of the Constitution was supposed to be a key pillar of the new Constitution, where integrity in leadership would be at the heart of the matter. And all those provisions in the Constitution are good. They tell you leadership must inspire confidence. Leaders must be accountable. Leaders are not to rule, they are to serve, etc., etc. And leadership should be something that brings honor to the office and to the holder of that office. Where we went wrong was in the initial stage of creating registration to implement that. It was substantially diluted in order to preserve a situation which is not very good. So that chapter has not been implemented, if you ask me.
Yeah, because when you look at, if we just piggyback on you saying that you will slay the dragon when it comes to corruption at the time. And today, unfortunately, we equally find ourselves doing stories covering the fact that there are even reports, petitions against judges who are accused of participating in graft in one way or the other. In fact, not long ago, the Law Society of Kenya was up in arms protesting against some judicial decisions that have been made by the judiciary. What does that do to the realization of the Katiba? Because you remember that the judiciary is important, especially when it comes to the interpretation of different statutes within the law. So when you see that judiciary itself finds itself at the center of being accused of being corrupt, what does that do to the realization of the dream that you had at the time?
I would want to answer that question by contextualizing the place of the judiciary. We said that the sovereignty of the people is vested in the executive, it is vested in the legislature, it is vested in the judiciary. All these organs exercise sovereign power on behalf of the people of Kenya. None of them is superior to the other. They are co-equal arms of government. They are independent, yet interdependent in a certain way. Because if there was nobody to make laws, what would the judiciary be doing? What would be the executive be implementing? So they relate. But the judiciary, to my mind, is a very, very important organ of the state. It is where disputes between citizens themselves, between citizens and the state, between various organs, county government and national government, between all these corporate bodies eventually end. And the Constitution envisaged a strong, independent, accountable judiciary. And the necessary structures are there. But like you have pointed out, everybody recognizes today that corruption is an issue in the judiciary. And in my view, that is the last place corruption ever ought to exist. Because that's the end of everybody. That's where everybody goes. If you ask me, maybe you can tolerate a little corruption in the executive, maybe a little in the legislature, not anything at all in the judiciary. And I'm not saying we should tolerate corruption anywhere, no.